This is your fourth module, Directive Principles of State Policy in India. This covers the responsibilities of every state to maintain peace in the country and also development of villages, cities, capitals. Part 4 talks about directive principles of state policy, especially Article 36 to 51 covers this area. This directive principles of state policy is borrowed from Irish Constitution in the year 1937. Our Ambedkar described directive principle of state policy as a novel feature of Indian Constitution. Directive principles plus fundamental rights could be considered as philosophy and soul of the Constitution, respectively. Directive principles can be philosophy of the Constitution. Fundamental rights are the soul of the Constitution. Directive principles are basically the directions to be followed by state while formulation and implementation of policy. A state means executive and legislative organs of the Union. In our first module, we studied three organs of the Constitution: legislative, judiciary, and executive. Legislative can involve in making laws, judiciary can involve in interfering or interpreting the laws, executive can involve in enforcing the laws. So here state means executive and legislative organs of the union, state, local bodies, panchayat, municipal corporations, improvement trust, pollution boards, etc. Government, corporations and companies. Okay, state represent everything. Executive and legislative organs of the union, executive and legislative organs of state, local bodies, panchayat, municipal corporations, improvement trust, pollution boards, government corporation and companies. Okay, in the previous slide we noted Dr. Ambedkar called directive principles of state policy as philosophy of the Constitution of India. Uh, this gives directions to be followed by state. State means we only, government organization, companies, local bodies, executive and legislative organs of state and union. Directive principles are not legally enforceable, but they are fundamental in the governance of country. Okay, we can't force directive principle, but we need to follow. Fundamental in the governance of country, government is expected to take into consideration while making policies. Okay, they need to consider so many things while making policies. Directive principles are not legally enforceable. State is not answerable to courts for non-implementation of DPSC. State can implement DPSC, sometimes they can't implement based on the current situation, but it is not necessary to answer to court if they fail to implement DPSC, directive principles. The directive principles are important. This will guide the state. State includes legislative, executive organs in union level, state level, panchayat bodies, municipal corporations, trust, pollution boards, government corporation and companies. So directive principles can be followed in these state. but they are not legally enforceable. They are fundamental in the governance of country. Okay, next DPSP reflects the ideals of welfare state. Welfare state, state which plays a key role in welfare of people, especially protection and promotion of the economic and social well-being of its citizens. So DPSC fully focuses on welfare of the state. Welfare of the state means protection of people in the state and the promotional activities in education, business, law, etc. Based on principles of DPSP, equality of opportunity, equitable distribution of wealth, public responsibility for those unable to avail themselves of the minimal provisions for a good life. So this DPSC is insisting on equality of opportunity to all people, equitable distribution of wealth. Okay, we can't allow any individual to keep the wealth because we destroyed are given by the foreigner and we destroyed a king, queen, all the postings from India after the independence. The public responsibility for those unable to avail themselves of the minimal provisions for a good life. Okay, they can take the responsibility of those who are struggling to receive minimal provisions for a good life. Okay, so DPSP can help the weak people based on financial condition, educational condition. Classification or categories of DPSP: socialist principles, Gandhian principles, liberal or intellectual principles. Okay, we can have these principles. Socialist principles. This emphasizes welfare of overall society. Article 38 is helped to promote welfare of people on the basis of equality based social order. 38 to promote welfare of people. Article 39A tells adequate means of livelihood for all its citizens. The state shall try to formulate its policy in such a way that we can help every citizen to have adequate livelihood. And Article 39B talks about ownership of material resources. Ownership of material resources would be controlled in such a manner so as to subserve the common good. Equitable distribution of material resources. Okay, we can use the common resources. Article 39C: the economy of the state will be administered in such a manner so that wealth may not yet be concentrated in a few hands, and the means of protection means land, labor, capital may not be used against the public interest. Okay, we know in some places the industry destroys people's health uh, and pollutes river, etc. in its nearby places. So this act they protect the resources. So Article 39C talks about economy of the state that clearly says wealth may not yet be concentrated in a few hands. Okay, everybody needs to use the land, labor and capital. Article 39D talks about equal pay for equal work. Article 39E talks about economic necessity to enter advocations. Okay, advocations, some cases can be taken care by the Supreme Court from the lower court. This the Article 39E, it talks about economic necessity and the protection of women and children. Women and children are not to be abused, and that citizens are not forced by economic necessity to enter avocations unsuited to their age or strength. Unsuited to their age or strength. So any women or children, okay, when women and children are suffered for any violation, this act gives assurance for their protection. The wealthiest 10% own more than 72% of total wealth in India, and the top 5% own nearly 62% of the total wealth, which is higher than the pre-pandemic years. During the pandemic year, during the pre-pandemic year 1819, all our economy was down, but now the wealthiest 10% owns more than 72% of wealth, of total wealth. Top 5% owns nearly 62% of the total wealth. This is higher than pre-pandemic years. And the top 1% own more than 13 times the wealth owned by the bottom half of the society, with nearly 40.6% of the total wealth in India. Okay. We need to remember 10% own more than 72% of the total wealth. Top 5% owns nearly 62% of the total wealth, and top 1% owns more than 13 times of the total wealth. Oxfam adds that India has the world's highest number of poor at 228.9 million. On the other hand, total number of billionaires in India increased from 102 in 2020 to 166 billionaires in 2022. Okay. Oxfam says India has the world's highest number of people at 228.9 million. On the other hand, total number of billionaires in India increased from 102 in 2020 to 166 billionaires in 2022. Within 2 years, they proved themselves. Socialist principles. Article 39F ensures that children are given opportunities and facilities to develop in a healthy manner and youth are protected against exploitation. Okay, this act ensures opportunity and facilities given to the students to develop in a healthy manner and youth are protected against exploitation. Article 39A provides justice and free legal aid to the poor. Article 41 of the Indian Constitution of the state will work within the limits of its economic viability and progress. Provide to the citizens the right to work, right to education, and general assistance in the event of unemployment, old age, disease, and other disabilities. Okay, Article 41 provides the right to work, right to education, and general assistance in the event of unemployment, old age, disease, and other disabilities. Okay, so the socialist principle. principles are very important to make a healthy India. Article 42 of the Indian Constitution, the state will make provisions for the creation of just and human conditions of work. It will also ensure maternity relief. Okay, we need to receive some benefits. Article 43 of the Indian Constitution ensures adequate wages, good life, and rest to the laborers. The state will also endeavor to make available to the laborers various social cultural facilities. Okay, we need to give adequate wages to everyone. We need to ensure good life of the laborer. We need to give rest to the laborer. We need to promote socio-cultural facilities among the laborers. Article 43 ensures workers' participation in management. Article 43b promotes voluntary formation, autonomous functioning, democratic control, and professional management of cooperative society. Okay, this covers this area. Voluntary function, autonomous functioning, democratic control, and professional management of cooperative society. Article 47 is used to raise the level of nutrition and improve public health. So Article 47 fully planned towards nutrition and public health. The main goal is to reduce disparities in income, position, resources, and opportunities. Okay, why this means to reduce disparities in income, position, resources, and opportunities. Okay, next is liberal principles. Social principles, we discuss so many things, exploitation of men, women and girls, and equal pay. We discussed about food, nutrition also. Next is liberal principles. Article 44 of the Indian Constitution ensures liberal principle. The state shall endeavour to formulate and implement a uniform civil code for all the people living throughout the territory of India. Article 45 of the Indian Constitution endeavours to provide early childhood care and education for all the children until they complete the age of 13 years. 13 years. Article 47 of the Indian Constitution covers nutrition and standard of living. The state shall strive to raise the level of nutrition and the standard of living. Thus, it will endeavour to improve upon the health of the people. A liberal principle. Article 48 of the Indian Constitution strive to organize agriculture and husbandry on modern and scientific lines. It will also try to maintain and improve upon the breed of the animals. It will concentrate on agriculture and husbandry and using modern technical tools. It will also try to maintain a particular breed of animal. It can work on increasing the destroying breed of the animals. Article 50 of the Indian Constitution separates the judiciary from the executive in the case of public service. Article 40 organizes panchayat in villages and it will endow them with such powers which enable them to act as units of self-government. Panchayat leaders are there, officers are there. They can take care of the respective villages. Article 43 says the state shall strive to develop the cottage industry in the rural areas. both on individual or cooperative basis. Okay, they can develop cottage industry in the rural areas with the help of individual or on the cooperative basis. Article 47 says the state will strive to ban the consumption of wine, other intoxicating drinks, and all such commodities which are considered injurious to health. Article 48 reveals that state will ban slaughtering of cows, calves, and other milch cattle. Liberal policies, socialism policies. Next is international policies. Article 51A says the state will strive to promote international peace and security. Article 51B says the state will strive to maintain justice and honorable relations among various states in the world. Article 51C says the state will endeavor to promote respect for international treaties, agreements, and law. Article 51F says that the state will strive to settle international disputes by arbitration. Okay. Though directive principles of state policy direct the state and the people to work together and enjoy all the rights, some criticisms are there on directive principles of state policy or DPSP. The criticisms are as follows: these are non-justiciable, not more than moral principles, no proper classification is done, some directive principles are not practicable, these are foreign in nature, against the principle of state sovereignty. Okay, they are telling something, but we can't follow everything quoted in DPSP because of lack of practicality. It is illogical to include these principles in the Constitution. These are responsible for constitutional conflicts. No mention of methods to implement this. They are telling we need to do something on legal policies, international policies, but no clear-cut mechanism to implement everything. These are the importance of directive principles. These are directives for the state. Yeah, state can take the best things from the DPSP, lay down the foundation of economic democracy. These are measuring rods to judge the achievements of the government. They establish a welfare state. Our ultimate goal is to make a state full of all rights to every human being, to raise their economical state also. These are fundamentals in the governance of the country. These principles supplement fundamental rights, guiding principles for courts. Okay, courts we can take anything to court, but the lower court sometimes are not favorable to everyone. In this case, they can approach Supreme Court. So Supreme Court can bypass and uh, play a major role in giving justice to the right person. They bring stability and continuity in state policies, educative value of directive principles. Okay, though DPSP give the direction to the state and people, every citizen also enact to make a welfare city. They need to abide by the constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, national flag and national anthem. So every citizen need to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. They need to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. They need to defend the country and render national service when called upon. to do so, to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional or sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. Okay, we need to protect the dignity of women, to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture, to protect and improve the natural environment, including forest, lake, river, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures, to develop scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. They need to safeguard public property and to abjure violence. Every citizen needs to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. A parent or guardian can provide opportunities for education to his child, or as the case may be, ward between the age of 6 and 14 years. Okay, everything is in written form, but every individual takes some role in fulfilling the written or goal of DPSP. Parent need to educate their child at least between the age of 6 and 14. Okay, today we covered about directive principles and state policy in India.